We now turn our attention to boxing and the upcoming rematch between Joyce and Zhilei Zhang, taking place on Saturday the 23rd of September. And this is a very big fight for Joyce. It's a very brave fight. In the first fight, Zhilei Zhang dominated. He couldn't miss with the left hand, shook Joyce a few times, hit home exactly where he wanted to, damaged his eye, and in the end got a stoppage victory. And it was not the result people were expecting. And Zhang showed all his quality and all his prowess, and he showed how powerful he is. That left hand, when he detonates that left hand, very powerful, incurs a lot of damage to the opponent. So Joyce is known before for his durability, known as the Juggernaut, and we just thought there was no way to break him. And to be fair to him, it's not as if he broke. His eye got hit too much and he just sustained damage where he couldn't continue. He didn't go out on his back, he didn't quit or anything like that. But it's an interesting rematch. The problem is with the rematch is that Zhang beat him so conclusively that it's difficult to figure out a way in which we can see that Joyce will turn the tables. Joyce has got very good stamina. If he can get into the second half of the fight and avoid that left hand of Zhang, then he'll have a chance. But it's a lot easier to say than to do. Joyce isn't known for his head movement. I don't know if he's suddenly going to come out with Mike Tyson head movement or Mayweather head movement, you know. So that's my difficulty in seeing a difference in the result. I think if Joyce sticks to his jab and works on incurring damage with the jab and trying to stay out of range, you know, he's got to cope better with Zhang's left hand. The left hand, it was unbelievable how often that thing was hitting. It was getting through and it was painful every time it got through. And Joyce couldn't really get any inroads, you know, he couldn't really make his power tell. And for that reason, it's very difficult for me to select Joyce in this fight. But having said that, having a quick look at the odds, they seem to be pretty similar for each fighter. I've seen 10 to 11 for each fighter, so just below evens either way. I've seen Zhang as a slight favourite, 4 to 5, and then Joyce at even. So we can basically say it's around just under evens either way, and the bookies think it can go to either fighter, which I think is interesting. Looking at the evidence of the first fight, you'd never pick the fight like that. They obviously think Joyce can improve. A lot's at stake for him. If he loses, his career is pretty much looking done. He's the type of fighter that can continue. He'll always get fights because of his style. But you know, it would really derail his efforts towards becoming a world champion. Both fighters are not spring chickens. Nearer to 40 than 30, you know. It is heavyweight boxing, so you can have success at this sort of age. But it's got to be done in the next sort of, certainly no more than 2 to 3 years is the absolute maximum. You know, the things will start to happen for them. They've got to get their title shots in. But yeah, Joyce can outwork him. I think Joyce can outwork him. I don't think Zhang has the stamina of Joyce. Having said that, Zhang, when he fought Hrgovic, showed stamina. You know, many thought he'd won that fight. I thought he won the fight against Hrgovic. Showed stamina in that fight, so we shouldn't downplay Zhang's stamina. But I do think in that department Joyce has an edge, so he has to kind of work with high output. And I think he needs to get some more muscle behind his punches, Joyce. I'm not sure his technique is where it should be. You know, he needs to work on his punch. I think he needs to work on his punching technique. I think there's more power that could be detonated on the opponent cleanly. Like he throws punches in bunches, and sometimes it doesn't feel that he's getting his full weight behind it. You know, but he's definitely got the stamina and endurance to beat Zhang on output. And he's got to stay away from that left hand. I mean, the thing is, he's been given a very clear task. If you look at the evidence of that first fight, it's just stay away from that left hand, whether it's head movement, whether it's just staying at range and trying to work the jab. Sure, he's got a reach advantage. He must have a reach advantage. He's got very long arms. Use those long arms and just stay away. You know, you can't just get beaten up. It was just like he was just standing in front of him and getting tagged. You're just watching it and thinking, got to get out of the way of that left hand. I've never seen anything like it in a boxing ring, really. The left hand couldn't miss. It was like Zhang just had a trump card. I think this time will be different. I don't think Joyce can allow him to just tee off on him and stop him in 6 rounds, I think it will go a bit longer. And that's where Joyce comes into play, you know, for the late stoppage or a points win. I think if it goes to points, I think Joyce is definitely going to have the advantage. I think it's taking place as a home fight for Joyce, so that's an advantage. Last time it didn't get that far, but if it does, I think he'll have a little bit of an edge. So Joyce could get it on points. I don't really see it as a huge betting opportunity, this fight. I'm just talking about it because it's an interesting fight. I think it's a big fight for heavyweight boxing. And credit to these two guys. Credit to Joyce for getting back in the ring with Zhang straight away after such a decisive defeat. And credit for having a proper heavyweight fight at the top level. We're not getting many of them these days. You know, doesn't feel like the top fighters are really getting in the ring. You know, the top fighters together, the Joshuas, the Wilders, the Furies, the top 10 generally. You know, there's loads of the Frank Sanchez, the Hrgovic, although I think Hrgovic has been mandated to face Usyk. Obviously Usyk and Dubois fought, fair play to them as well. That was a proper top level, you know, heavyweight fight. So that was good. But as far as this fight goes, I just think Zhang is going to get it done. I think he's going to get through enough. Joyce is going to be very motivated for the fight. I've seen a lot of regret in Joyce in his interviews. He looks very sorrowful about the loss. I think it's shaken him, but sometimes a shake at this stage of your career can be a good thing. His defence has never been where it needs to be. You know, he's always relied on his chin, which is not a way to fight at the top level. It's good to have a chin to lean back on, but it can't be the main source of your offensive campaign in terms of trying to win. You know, you've got to have more power, you've got to use better shots. He looked good against Parker. It was a good performance against Parker. Got the stoppage, and he did look powerful in that fight. But he never looked that way against Zhang. You know, the southpaw stance, you know, Zhang coming forward. Another problem with this fight, so Joyce I think will be up for it mentally, but I think Zhang is completely in the same mindset as he was for the first fight. He's, as I say, coming towards the end of his career, both of them are. And he's just taking it seriously. He's waited a long time to get serious fights. If you look at his record, he only really got in the ring with very serious operators from about 2021. You know, the likes of Hrgovic, now Joyce. He had a fight with Jerry Forrest, you know. But before that, the level wasn't anything to talk about. So now he feels like he's coming into his prime. And he feels like he's getting the attention he deserves. He was going to pack in boxing at one point, he was saying. He was saying it wasn't going anywhere. And his team just said, no, you've got to keep going. When you get the recognition, you'll see. You know, people will see. And they've seen, because that last performance was a demolition job. I think he'll just get it done. I think that left hand is very difficult to negate. As I say, I think Joyce will do better this time. And I think the fight will go into the second half. But I just think Zhang will find a way to get that left hand landed. He was landing it so sweetly. So even if he lands it, you know, even half as good as he did in the first fight, he'll probably get the win. Because he was absolutely tagging him. But it can go either way, so please give your comments which way you think it will go and why. Enjoy the fight, it's going to be a big one. Looking forward to it. And good luck with your betting whichever way you go. I'm going to go for Zhang on this one. I'd certainly look for the stoppage as well. I'd say Zhang by stoppage. I think it's about 6-4. Not the best odds in the world. It's because of the first fight, really. What he did in the first fight. And it's not a surprise, but I just think Joyce can't avoid that left hand, and for that reason I'll be going for Zhang by stoppage. Please give your opinion, enjoy the fight, and I'll catch you next time.